Hello there, I'm Moldy and welcome to the end of the month. And yes, for any of you that don't know, this helmet has been 3D printed, primed ever so slightly and painted by myself. But as it is the end of the month, January 2025, I thought it's about time we make some predictions for this year's advent calendar. I know previously these have just been talking videos, but I actually have 4 exclusive Lego Star Wars minifigures that you can't buy off Bricklink, Brickout, Rebrickable, you can name it, and I guarantee you won't be able to buy these off the sites because Lego Star Wars have for a long time now been doing sweaters in their advent calendars, and I've done a video covering every single one because I'm lucky enough to own the entire collection. The only 2 I'm technically missing are Rey and Finn, but thankfully they didn't come in an advent calendar. The minifigures we'll be looking at today are official Lego designs with the exception of the final one, which I would love for Lego to release in this year's advent calendar. So stay to the end to see what that minifigure is, but let's get straight into the first minifigure. Just before I show off the first minifigure, I'd just like to say there is a video breaking down how I made these minifigure displays and why they do not crack Lego minifigure legs, and I also have a previous video covering all of the Christmas minifigures I own, and I'll leave both those links in the description. But the first minifigure we'll be taking a look at today is representing the anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, and when I bring them out I would like to talk about a few different builds and structures I think would be really cool to see in this year's anniversary, because if you weren't aware, we're celebrating Revenge of the Sith's anniversary, Empire Strike Back and the Force Awakens anniversary all this year, so hopefully we can see a little bit of that incorporated into this year's advent. But the first minifigure we've got is our little green friend Yoda with a green Christmas sweater that says "A Merry Christmas, I wish you," or "A Merry Christmas, I wish you," as Yoda would say it. Something like that at least. And this is using the updated head and the legs from the recent Yoda minifigures. Though it is surprising we haven't seen this Christmas sweater version of Yoda, we do own a few different Christmas variations. For instance, we have got Yoda in an advent calendar before, and on top of this Yoda in a Santa suit, we also got Yoda in, well, we didn't get Yoda, but employees got Yoda in an employee exclusive Lego set, which was a Christmas X-Wing, and by the looks of it, most people sold theirs for quite a bit of money. So perhaps you do own a copy of that Yoda. And then most recently, we've seen a variation of Yoda in the Star Wars Christmas special or the holiday special, which was wearing a Charles Dickens kind of attire, which looked really cool. And I'd love to get that in Lego one day. That'd be a really cool Christmas bonus minifigure for Lego to give out in a Star Wars set. And I would like to see a few more of these Christmas sets like the X-Wing, but actually made public available for us to buy. Something like this Christmas fired snowspeeder, because we've got the sand speeder before, but something that is Christmassy themed, or not even something themed around Christmas, but Lego could have so many opportunities to make little what if sets of what if certain characters showed up at certain places, and I would like to see that a little more. But like I said at the start, Yoda here is representing Revenge of the Sith, and last year I saw in one of the Disney Advent calendars they had a little Cinderella castle, or one of the castles that was built over the course of 3 days. And I think getting a Jedi temple in an Advent calendar that you build maybe the bottom left section one day, then you build the bottom right, and then you build the top middle section and get this bigger than you'd expect Advent build of a Jedi temple. Even something like Anakin's Etar or Kenobi's Etar from the opening scenes of Revenge of the Sith. Perhaps the first day we can build the body of the ship, and then one day a wing, and the final day the other wing. And to get something that's a little bigger in a Star Wars Advent, about the size of some of these polybag builds we've been getting, would be really, really cool. But of course, we've got the Jedi Temple, we've got Order 66, and a few different brick-built scenes. A little brick-built Felucia might look as good as an Endor Ewok village, for instance, that we have got in the years past. And we've got a ton of the ships. Arc 170 come out this year. That would be cool to show up in the Advent. However, Advent calendars tend to give us a sneak peek into the future of Lego Star Wars sets. So I'm sure we probably wouldn't be getting something like the Arc 170 unless there was a UCS version in the pipeline, which I'm not quite sure how I'd feel about a UCS Arc 170. There are also a ton of other ships that show up in Revenge of the Sith, but I do really think Jedi Temple would work really well in this year's Advent calendar. Now, to introduce our second minifigure, and you're going to start to see a theme here. We've got a Stormtrooper with yet again another Christmas sweater. I promise they aren't all Christmas sweatered minifigures. This time, rather than any text, we've got the Imperial logo with a few other snowflakes and a bit more of an intricate design on the torso. As you know already, we've spoken a lot about Empire Strikes Back anniversary sets we could get this year, and a lot of them have been helmets. And I think it'd be interesting to see in this year's Advent calendar if they gave us a little brick-built helmet or something akin to the display sets we get, because a lot of them are micro builds which are somewhat similar to the midi-scale ships we get, and it'd be interesting if we got a brick-built helmet of some sort. If they could build the 8080 driver's helmet in a micro fashion, that would look really, really cool in this year's Advent. But on top of that, we've also got the typical, Super Star Destroyers. Maybe even a Slave One would look really, really well in there. In Boba or Jango Fett's colours, though, for Empire Strikes Back, we're going to have to go with Boba's Fire Spray. There are also some ways they could tie in the Christmas theme again with this Advent calendar and Empire Strikes Back, because on Bespin, there's these centerpieces of the hallways which look like little Christmas trees. So if they give us some Bespin themed Advent calendar and perhaps put a few little trees, well, we'd only really want one of the trees in the Advent calendar, but something like that could tie in the Christmas theme to Star Wars, and perhaps we could be putting together our own Cloud City, which, if they themed it like they do with recent Harry Potter sets, focus on building an interior of one big room rather than just trying to give us a bunch of midi scale ships, which are really fun to build, but after Christmas they tend to just be broken down. Whereas I'm talking about an Advent calendar that can then be used to create a mock, and you just need to pick up a few bricks off the pick a brick or the pick and build station in Lego stores. But besides that, I feel like we have got everything from Empire Strikes Back. They'll probably just give us a few other ships that we've already got previously. So I think now's the time to move on to our third and final of this trio. And the only one of these three you'll be able to easily put together at home, well, with a bit of blue tack perhaps, we have Chewbacca. Though you probably could do something near this with blue tack, I haven't used blue tack. This hat here is 3D printed, and I've hollowed out the interior to exactly match Chewbacca's head, which I'm not quite sure how far down a regular Santa hat would go, but I feel like a bit of blue tack goes a long way. Just before we get into the Force Awakens anniversary Advent mini builds, I wonder how many of you actually recognize these three minifigures. And these three minifigures haven't been made by Lego whatsoever in this form. These three are actually the plush minifigures that came out alongside Darth Vader. When we got Darth Vader, and I think Vader came with Poe Dameron in the same Advent calendar, if my memory serves me correctly. We also got the other three in plush form, but never got any minifigure variations of them, which is very interesting. Lego didn't release these as part of some special Christmas promo for the Lego Star Wars theme, because this definitely would have got me spending more money on Lego Star Wars sets over Christmas. But with January coming to a close and February in recent years tending to be when we start getting some Advent calendar rumors and leaks for the end of the year, I thought I had to put these together and also make my own custom Advent calendar minifigure. Though, let's talk about Force Awakens first. So for the Force Awakens, there's probably not a lot that many people will want to see in an Advent, but I do think a Kylo Ren shuttle, a Takodana, perhaps even a different styled X-Wing to what we've been seeing in recent years, because a lot of them have been themed around Luke's X-Wing, and we could definitely get a few more Poe Dameron X-Wings in these Advent calendars because he's got a lot to go through. But something that's grand, something like a Takodana, again, we could get Takodana built in segments, but I'd definitely be preferring a Jedi Temple, especially with all the content it's been showing up in recently. LEGO really can't afford to keep sleeping on any sort of Jedi Temple builds. Please just give us something. But I don't really think there's much else they could do for The Force Awakens. There's not really any Starkiller builds, but if they were to go down the Christmassy route, perhaps they could do something akin to the snowy scenes on Starkiller. I really just don't see them including any sequel trilogy characters in this year's Advent. Now, last but not least is a character I've been going on about for ages, ever since Hasbro released it for the Black Series minifigure, and that character is a Phase 2 gingerbread clone trooper. I think this would be really, really fun to get, and we could also get it with a B1 battle droid, perhaps some antlers on the back. They could connect them with some sort of clip element. If they really want to go that extra mile and give us something special, give the B1 a red nose and make it pilot the sleigh that this clone is riding. Festive themed clone trooper legions are a no-brainer for these advent calendars. We've got a clone and droid in pretty much every single advent, at least one of the two. And eventually, LEGO are going to have to make these the festive characters. They have been accompanying festive characters in Santa costumes and Christmas sweaters for the last decade and a half, and I think this year is the year we need a festive clone trooper and a festive battle droid. Though now I'm kind of pulling away from the festive gingerbread clone trooper and would like to see a few different varieties, perhaps even a clone and droid sweater combination, which would be very interesting how they'd work that for the B1. But to get a Phase 2 clone with a jumper, with a battle droid head on, I think would just be amazing and would make this advent calendar probably the best advent calendar ever. Perhaps a little nod to Skeleton Crew and Visions would really make this advent calendar even more special, especially considering to date we haven't got anything for LEGO Star Wars Visions, and it seems that every other company has hopped on this for a little bit of exclusive merchandise. So here's hoping for a Visions mini build in this year's advent calendar. And thank you so much for making it to the end. Let me know what you think down in the comments. May the bricks be with you always.